After nearly 4 decades as a renegade artist in the City of Light, Richard Dailey finally made his most heretical move. He left Paris.
Bingo.
So why did you leave Paris?
Well, the short answer is COVID. We left Paris because Paris closed down, and we know this area. This house was available. It was a price that we could afford. We made an offer on the house, and the owners took it, and down we came. Welcome to our new house in Saint-Vincent-du-Pendit. We're on the place at the heart of the village, the center of the village and the center of my universe for the last 2.5 years.
What do you like most about your life in the country?
I like the sensuality of it. I like being immersed in nature. I like being close to nature. I like the appeal to my senses. I like being awake that way. And I like the air that I breathe. Yeah, they're gonna put me in the movie. Hey, got your stuff. We should have brought a carrot. It's a great view. Right back here, we have a pool, which we never could have afforded in Paris. We go in through my studio. This is where they used to keep the cows. I can tell you a bit about what's on the wall. My parrot pieces from Alkin's music. More nature things. Here are 2 of a series of 100 drawings that are the landscape out behind the house. You may recognize the cypress. There's a little corner of the swimming pool. There's the Tour Saint Laurent in the background. It's a photograph of a comic book cover that I framed, and I made frames for all of the photographs. None of them have been retouched. They are exactly as they come out of the can, but you can see how pixelated the image is. And I really, frankly, find the pixels quite beautiful and something to preserve and take advantage of rather than something to be suppressed. These are a part of my Andy Warhol series, drawings and paintings. They're typewriters, and they're rough, hand-done copies of typewriters that Andy Warhol drew in his early days in New York. As a typewriter collector, was, oh wow, Andy Warhol did typewriters, that's great. And the small addition that I've made is I added text that I typed. And the text, I bought typewriter ribbons that are the same colors as the watercolor to match. And So these are texts that were either written by Andy Warhol or were written about him. There's a section over here which ultimately I'd like to just cut out and frame. Some tentative titles that I had for pieces of work that I was doing. What you see with your eyes closed. Inspirational quotes like, wake up now. Eternity's peekaboo. Here's one. This is a piece that will auto-destroy. This piece is going to just, it will not leave this room, ever. For me, this is a piece. Love the old dried apples from our apple tree that I've covered with pastel powders. All this stuff excites me. Everything that I do is cheap in the sense that it's financially inconsequential. It's papers and pencils and crayons and poetry and just the manifestation of an invented world with very poor pauvre materials. Found myself using Le Monde, the newspaper, to start the fires in the fireplaces here, and realized at one point that I was actually literally burning Le Monde in a world that is burning up. These are church candles, and when I started making the bases for them, when I took the clay and got it out of the block of matte clay and put it on the table to shape it, I looked at it and I said, you know what? I'll never improve on that. The candles extinguish themselves when they get to the Virgin. She doesn't burn. So I started calling these freehand large candles the primitivas. Painted them various colors, and I probably have now, 200-300 of them burned. When I got tired of making the primitivas, and I may come back to that, I started making other ones that I called the brutalistas.
What is your favorite thing you've ever made?
My favorite thing I've ever made is whatever I'm making at the moment. And that's what's in front of me. That comes back, of course, to what many people will appreciate is process and being engaged with work and the world in a way that trying to make sense of things, trying to share certain experiences with people, trying to make some part of yourself available. Well, the walnuts are a homage. Marcel Broters, who was a Belgian artist, thinking about my walnut harvests here with my neighbors. We go off into the fields and collect walnuts from the trees. And so I painted them with gilt, gold paint, and glued them onto boards, broke them in half, glued them onto boards. So this will, coming soon to a gallery near you. Originally, when we moved here, I started doing some work reading about expatriates like myself who have moved to the south of France. I would say 20, 30 people have actually written books about their experience, the renovation of houses, the spiritual renovation that they've gone through moving to the country in the south of France. But originally, when I started writing in the journals, I thought this was going to be raw material that I would eventually go back and mine to come up with some kind of coherent, novelistic, perhaps, approach to sharing the experience of moving here and being here with a bigger public. And gradually, as I was working, I came to feel that, in fact, this is the work. This is the project. The project, this is not here to be mined. This is it. This is all there is. There are big sections of these journals where I really investigate the house and my feelings about the house. And starting here, for example, there are descriptions of every window. Just reading. Come on in. Life begins well. It begins enclosed, protected, all warm in the bosom of a house. I feel constantly nostalgic for the present. Another portrait of our beloved Twiggy by Leslie McAllister, copied from a dog painting in the Musée de la Chasse et Nature in Marais in Paris. In a 400-year-old house, you're going to find ghosts. And I've been trying to come to terms with what they actually might be. And how I would describe their presence. And I think that the best description of the ghosts that are here that I've come up with is that they're a little bit like an unplayed instrument in a room. Ghostology. Gaston Bachelard has been one of the great inspirations for me since I moved here. I've read and reread his book in both French and English. It's been an incredible experience reading the book at the same time as I've moved into a new space and discovered this space and been discovered by the space. This little bit here is Saint-Vincent-du-Pendit, in fact. I used that particular image to do the cover of Haiku Lotois.
As a writer, artist, filmmaker, is there a form of expression that's closest to your heart?
Well, poetry is the short answer to that question. And, please don't ask me to define poetry. It is in probably everything that I do. I guess poetry is somehow connected to language, but I'm not even sure I'd go that far. I think that there's a poetic element of some kind in just about everything that I do, whether there's an actual linguistic component to it or not. These are in roughly chronological order, starting from Juvenilia, uncollected early poems, some of which I've lived with a long time. This is the first poem that I ever published, where a line like, "Protagonist, fuck yourself," comes up in a painting that I did in the 90s in Paris. Who is the protagonist? Small editions, all of them limited, signed, pay dirt, to hell with reality and back. Lockdown, written during, of course, the confinement, lockdown. Dreams, which came out in newspaper format. These are x-rays of my skull. Stanzas is probably my favorite book that I've done as a book. It was written while listening to John Coltrane a screenplay that I wrote, my New York novel, Unplugged Yellow, another novel, a Paris one, The Half Moon. What we have here is Radical Incoherency, The Art and Times of Richard Dailey. I call it my catalog, irraisonné. It's a catalog of all of my work from the mid-'80s to about 4 years ago, when the pandemic closed in on us. And it was put together with the Italian art critic Stefano Chiotti, who encouraged me to go back through my archives and put everything together. If we go into the wine cellar, we can take a look at it. Welcome to the wine cellar. This was an important event in my life, the putting together of this catalog, because my work is varied. I'm not the only artist, obviously, and to be able to say that, but it's incredibly varied in terms of genre. There are films, books, journals, art objects, sculptures, spaces, light experiments, all kinds of different things. And it's hard for people to get a grasp of the overall arc of my work, and this definitely helps. Me, as a young poet, some of my early Cornelian pieces, weather maps, the birth of After Art Productions, my first film on Margaret Holloway, God Didn't Give Me a Week's Notice, my sitcom, more Art World shenanigans, good fun, the feather pieces, my cloud pieces, which were pieces of sanded plexiglass in cloud forms hung from the ceiling. Someone once said, look like the ghost of art. My light cocktails, my French driver's license. Yeah, there's a good chance that that I won't find a mass public, that the mass public that hopefully I merit won't find me. It happens. I mean, there are reputations that are made after people pass on. There are reputations that are unmade after people pass on. Hugely reputable artists just crumble sometimes. In the future, that's out of your hands, I think. Stack of dreams in a gallery for sale. My records. Oh, my embroidered tweets. We've seen some of those. Now I'm fairly confident that if I fell into a hole or got run over by a bus or whatever happens to people, that the work will be there. It's the pastoral dream is an absolutely lovely dream, but it's a dream too, and it quickly vanishes. You wake up and you realize that it is blood that makes the grass grow. Busy night in Saint-Vincent-du-Pendit. We're out for a nice walk and passed by their house, and that American staff came surging out of the yard and mauled our beloved Twiggy, and she died after a valiant fight 7 to 8 months later. The reality is that, behind this absolutely gorgeous nature is kill and be killed. Everybody's either eating or being eaten. Bitten or being bitten. And that's a hard lesson to learn and a hard thing to take sometimes here. It's not all beer and Skittles, as my mother used to say. Haiku Lotois. Notes from a Garden in the Sky. At night I fall asleep in this garden in the sky. Full moon floats by. Owls hoot. My pen falls out of my hand. I wake. Oh, urban herd, do I miss your hips like iron, your hands like velvet? My skin is bark, my blood sap. At night, candles in this rooftop solarium turn windowed walls into mirrors. I catch myself listening. Windy gusts, ghost whispers. Ghosts are definitely a thing that one feels in a house of this age. Not ghosts in the sense of a ghost story. And they're not walk around feeling scared of doors banging or howling in the chimneys or the shutters slamming or whatever kind of. There's lots of noise here at night, particularly in the winter. But there are presences that are haunting. It's nice. I love having my ghosts around me. I've slowly come to appreciate what I come to think of as this pretty intense medieval Catholic mysticism. I mean, those cats were way out there.
What do you hope happens to your work after you die?
Now, why would you ask me that? Well, you know, what I hope would happen to my work after I die runs the gamut from Après moi, le déluge, and to, that is to say, of course, you know, who gives a shit? I hope some wonderful rich person will come along and reconstitute my various studios intact and put them together again. You know, I mean, realistically, that probably won't happen. So in between there somewhere, God, I hope my friends come and raid the larder, take what they want, and enjoy it, and remember me with it.
Or one's place in the scheme of things, life reduced to a book, unaffordable Paris, impossible future.
Follow me up to the terrace in the sky. In a world where flowers are still possible, I cut loose consciousness and watch it float away. Surfing the night is divine, the world breathing in the dark, forever seeming hours of sweet, scary, physical and mental inventory, knees, bad, self-loathing, check, fear of the future, fuck it, hang ten, tubular, rushing until the dawn creeps up. At the end of the tunnel, I emerge from the surf, naked, tan, the girls in bikinis swoon, the boys all applaud handsomely. The sand is unstable, but my balance absolutely impeccable. Sky blazes blue. Now waves crash behind me. I gulp the air. I want nothing. Nothing is without me, even you. My job, I think, has been, and still is making sure that if someone wants to see my work and wants to engage with it, that's possible. That the catalogs are here, the books are lined up on the shelves, the pieces are arranged in ways that make them available for anyone who's interested. So if you want to come to me and to discover this work and this world, you can.
Is there anything you miss about Paris?
Asian food.
Burning Le Monde.
The moral of the story is Saint-Vincent-du-Pendit loves you too.